At 85, I truly believe the hardest battles of my life were already behind me. I survived things most people only read about in history books. I lived through years of uncertainty, watched the world change again and again, buried friends I thought would grow old beside me, and stood strong for my family when they needed someone steady. I worked hard. I sacrificed. I raised children who now have children of their own. I thought I had earned my rest. I thought the final chapter of my life would be quiet, peaceful, maybe even dignified. But nothing in all those decades prepared me for a nursing home. People talk about nursing homes like they're safe harbors. They use words like care, comfort, support. They say you'll have help whenever you need it. They say you won't be alone. They say it's the best place for someone your age. And after a while, you start to believe it. I did. What they don't tell you is what it feels like when the door closes behind your family and their footsteps fade down the hallway. What they don't tell you is how quickly your world shrinks to a single room with a narrow bed and a window that doesn't open wide enough. What they don't tell you is how easy it is to become just another name on a chart. There are things about nursing homes that no brochure mentions, no polite conversation admits, and no one wants to say out loud. If you're over 60, or if you love someone who is, you need to hear this before it's too late. They told me it would be safe. That was the first promise. You'll be safer there, they said. There are nurses 24 hours a day. If anything happens, someone will be right there. At 85, safety sounds comforting. Your legs aren't as steady. Your balance isn't what it used to be. The idea that someone is always nearby feels like protection. So I agreed. I told myself this was the smart choice, the responsible choice. They said I'd be surrounded by people. You'll make friends, they promised. There are others your age. You'll have activities, conversations, games. They painted a picture of community, of laughter echoing down bright hallways, of shared meals and shared stories. After all, loneliness is supposed to disappear when you're surrounded by others, right? They said I wouldn't be alone. That was the one that mattered most. You won't be by yourself anymore, they said gently, as if that was the greatest gift they could offer me. No more long evenings in a quiet house. No more worrying about what would happen if I fell. No more silence. But here is the truth no one explained. Safety is not the same as feeling secure. Being surrounded by people is not the same as being known. And noise is not the same as connection. Yes, there are people here. Doors open and close. Carts roll down the hallway. Televisions play in the background. Staff members move quickly from room to room, always in a hurry, always with another task waiting. You are never physically alone. And yet, I have never felt more alone in my life. In a room full of people, you can still feel invisible. Conversations happen around you, not with you. Decisions are made for you, not by you. You become part of a routine, part of a schedule, part of a system. The promises sounded warm and reassuring, but the reality feels colder than I ever expected. No one told me that loneliness can follow you anywhere, even into a place designed to care for you. I still remember my first night there. Not the paperwork, not the goodbyes. The night when my family left, the room felt unfamiliar, like a hotel I never chose. The air smelled different. Not terrible, not unbearable, just clinical. A mix of disinfectant, old carpet, and something faintly metallic. It was the kind of smell that tells you this is a place where things are cleaned often, but never truly feel fresh. My suitcase sat unopened in the corner. A few framed photos were placed on the small table beside the bed, as if pictures alone could make it home. I sat on the edge of the mattress and listened. The hallway lights never turn off. They glow through the crack under the door, a thin strip of pale light that never disappears. It feels like time stopped there. Day and night blur together under those lights. I could hear everything. The slow squeak of rubber shoes moving past my door. The distant hum of a television playing in someone else's room. A cough from down the hall. The rattle of a medicine cart rolling over the floor. Occasionally, a soft voice saying, "It's okay, it's okay," though I couldn't tell who it was meant for. Every sound felt louder because I didn't belong to any of them yet. I lay down, fully dressed at first, staring at the ceiling tiles. They were plain and dotted, the kind you see in offices. I tried to sleep, but my mind kept waiting for what I wasn't sure. Maybe for my old bedroom door to open. Maybe for the familiar creak of my house settling at night. Maybe for someone to say this was temporary. Instead, there was only the steady hum of the building breathing around me. The hardest part wasn't the bed or the smell, or even the noise. It was the feeling of waiting. Waiting for morning. Waiting for footsteps that might stop at my door. Waiting for someone to remember that I was there, in that room, wide awake. That first night, I understood something I never expected. You can be surrounded by care and still feel like you're on your own. Here is the brutal truth no one says out loud. It's not the physical pain that breaks you. At 85, you expect some pain. Your knees ache. Your back stiffens. Your hands tremble a little when you lift a cup. You've made peace with that. You understand your body has limits. What you're not prepared for is the emotional neglect. No one is cruel. No one is openly unkind. But kindness becomes rushed. Conversations become short. Smiles become automatic. The staff moves quickly, always quickly. They are overworked, understaffed, and exhausted. You can see it in their eyes. They have too many rooms to check, too many medications to give, too many emergencies waiting down the hall. So they do what they can. They change you. They feed you. They adjust your pillows. And then they move on. You start to notice something subtle but painful. You are no longer part of the world outside. News happens somewhere else. Family stories continue without you. At first, your children visit every week. They bring flowers. They sit by your bed. They promise they'll come again soon. Then life gets busy. Visits become shorter, then less frequent, then sometimes postponed. Next week, they say. Something came up. You understand. You always understand. That's what parents do. But each time the door closes behind them, the room feels a little smaller. Days begin to look the same. Breakfast at 7, medication at 9, lunch at 12, physical therapy at 2, dinner at 5, lights dimmed at 8. You are moved from one moment to the next like a task to be completed. And slowly, without realizing it, you stop being a person with a long history and become a routine. You don't lose your body first, you lose your importance. No one announces it. No one intends it. It just happens quietly. Decisions are made for you. Conversations happen over you. You are spoken about as if you are not fully there. That is the part no brochure mentions. The real pain isn't in your bones. It's in feeling like your presence no longer matters. What hurts the most isn't what you might think. It's not the food. It's not the small room. It's not even the constant routine. It's the waiting. You learn the sound of the front door better than your own heartbeat. Every time it opens, your head lifts. Every set of footsteps in the hallway makes you glance toward your door. You tell yourself not to get your hopes up, but hope is stubborn. It rises anyway. You start measuring your days by visits. Maybe today. You whisper to yourself. You sit a little straighter. You keep your sweater on, just in case. You look at the clock more than you ever did when you were working. Hours stretch. Afternoon turns into evening. The hallway grows quiet again, and sometimes no one comes. You tell yourself they're busy. They have jobs, children, responsibilities. You raised them to build full lives. You're proud of that, but pride doesn't sit beside you in the empty chair near your bed. Then there's another kind of pain. You begin to notice when a room down the hall falls silent for good. A name disappears from the door. A bed is stripped. Within days, someone new moves in. Life continues efficient and steady. There's no long goodbye, no pause. Just quiet replacement. You realize how easily a life can be packed into a few boxes. And then there's the way people talk to you. Slow, loud, gentle in a way that feels smaller than you are. Did we take our medicine today? Are we ready for our bath? You are 85 years old. You built a life, paid bills, raised children, survived decades. Yet suddenly you are spoken to like you don't understand your own name. It chips away at you. Little by little you begin to feel invisible. Not because you are gone, but because fewer people look at you like you're still fully here. The worst part isn't dying there. It's feeling like you're already gone. If you have parents, listen to me carefully. One day, if you're lucky, they will reach an age where they move slower, speak softer, and depend on you in ways they never did before. And when that time comes, you will be faced with decisions. Practical decisions. Responsible decisions. You'll tell yourself you're doing what's best for them. Maybe you are. But there's something families don't fully understand about places like this. They don't need luxury. They don't need the biggest room, the newest furniture, or the most expensive facility in town. They don't care about marble floors or pretty gardens nearly as much as you think they do. They need presence. They need to see your face walk through that door and light up when you notice them. They need to feel like they are still part of your life, not just a responsibility you've arranged properly. They need to hear about your day, your problems, your small victories. They need to feel useful, even if all they can offer now is advice or a listening ear. 5 minutes of real attention means more than a bouquet of flowers left on a table. A short visit where you put your phone away, hold their hand, and look them in the eyes can carry them through an entire week. A simple, "I'm glad you're still here," can mean more than you'll ever know. Don't assume they understand your absence. They say, "It's okay," because they don't want to burden you. They say, "I know you're busy," because they remember how hard life can be. But behind that understanding is a quiet hope that maybe, just maybe, you'll come anyway. One day you will want one more conversation, one more story, one more chance to sit beside them and ask about their past. Call them after this video, not tomorrow, not next week, today, because time feels very different when you're the one waiting. At 85, you realize something that takes most people a lifetime to understand. You begin to see what actually mattered and what never did. All those years chasing promotions, worrying about money, arguing over small things, stressing about what others thought, they fade. They don't disappear completely, but they lose their weight. What stays are moments, faces, conversations, the feeling of being respected, the feeling of being seen. Dignity becomes everything. When you are young, dignity feels automatic. People listen when you speak. They ask for your opinion. They trust your decisions. But as you grow older, especially in a place like this, dignity can quietly slip away if no one protects it. Being talked over, being rushed, being treated like your fragile glass instead of a human being with decades of wisdom, that's what hurts. At 85, you don't want control over the world. You just want to be seen. You want someone to sit down, not stand at the door. You want someone to ask, "What do you think?" instead of deciding for you. You want your stories to matter, even if they've been told before, because those stories are proof that you lived, that you loved, that you survived. And time feels different now. When you're young, you think you have endless tomorrows. You postpone visits. You delay phone calls. You assume there will always be another holiday, another birthday, another chance. But at 85, you understand that time is not counted in years anymore. It's counted in moments, in visits, in conversations that linger a little longer than planned. We don't need more years. We need more love in the years we have. That's the lesson. Not more luxury, not more comfort, not even more medicine, just more presence, more patience, more respect, more reminders that even at 85, a person's heart still beats with the same need it always had to matter to someone. One day, whether you think about it or not, you will be 85 too. Time moves quietly. You won't even notice it happening. 1 year becomes 5. 5 becomes 20. The mirror changes. Your steps slow down. The house grows quieter. And suddenly, you are the one sitting in the chair, watching the door, thinking about the life you lived. So let me ask you something. When that day comes, where will you be? Will you be in your own home, surrounded by familiar walls filled with memories? Or will you be in a small room down a long hallway, waiting for footsteps that may or may not stop at your door? Who will sit beside you? Will someone hold your hand and ask you about your stories? Will they know the sacrifices you made, the risks you took, the love you gave? Or will your life be reduced to a file, a schedule, a name printed neatly on a door? And will they remember who you were, not just your age, not just your medications, but who you truly were? The dreams you had, the strength you carried, the years you worked, loved, struggled, and endured. Because here is the truth. Growing old is not the tragedy. Being forgotten is. If this story made you think, even for a moment, don't ignore that feeling. Talk to your family. Make plans. Have the difficult conversations now, while you still can. Decide what dignity looks like for you. Decide what kind of ending you want. And I want to hear from you. Tell me in the comments, would you ever choose a nursing home? Why or why not? Your answer might help someone else reading this, someone who is trying to decide what the last chapter of their life should look like.